Hey everyone, it's Wowman. I hope you are doing well, and in today's video I did want to cover a series called Alice in Dreams. It revolves around a twisted take on the fictional tale of Alice in Wonderland. In this rendition, however, instead of the world being filled with fantastical creatures, the world is inhabited by a sense of isolation and a terrifying revelation of how Alice ended up here, because it wasn't just by falling into a rabbit hole. Also, what's really cool about this series is that it was created by EXP Goat, which is also the creator of the last analog horror series that we took a look at, called Dexter the Dog. So if you like that one, you'll probably like this one too. And if you haven't watched that one, be sure to check it out after this video. Somebody commented on my last video saying that I'm the reason that their mom says bruh. So I thought that was really funny. Hey guys, but real quick, I do want to give a huge thank you to the sponsor of today's video, which is Manta Sleep. So if you're like me and you've been up late at night binging a bunch of analog horror videos and thus it's just ruined your sleep schedule in its entirety, you may need a little bit of a boost to get that much needed rest to function in the morning. Manta Sleep was nice enough to send me over their Manta Sleep sound, and it's honestly been so amazing. For example, sometimes when I watch these videos before I write scripts, it's usually pretty late at night, and I'm not immune to the horrors of these videos either, meaning that usually I end up super freaked out and cannot sleep. But with my Manta Sleep mask, I can just pop it on, connect my phone to the headset's built-in Bluetooth speakers, and just start playing some relaxing ocean noises, and I'm transported into a world of relaxation with no more struggle to fall asleep. The mask is super adjustable to help you achieve the perfect fit, and the quality of the materials gives it this soft, premium feel. I've also been using the Manta Sleep Cool Eye Cups, which soothes your eyes and sinuses. That way in the morning you wake up feeling completely refreshed. So be sure to check out Manta Sleep by checking out the link in the description and using code WOWMAN to get 10% off your order. And yeah, let's get into it. In the video, it begins with Alice standing before the rabbit hole, which in all iterations of the character, she is destined to fall into. And so fall down she does, to which she is met with the rabbit's home. But once she's inside, her porcelain face is transformed into that of a rabbit's. At least it appears so. But after following the rabbit deeper into the tunnel, she discovers a door resembling that of a mouth, one that invites her inside. But before she does, Alice removes her mask, all the while the ticking of the clocks fill the room, creating this incredibly eerie atmosphere. The next thing we're shown is a diagram of a human brain with the label on top stating lobotomy. And I'm pretty sure you guys know what a lobotomy is. I mean, I feel like it's a pretty popular joke right now. Like, damn, I should just get a lobotomy. But in all seriousness, a lobotomy was this very invasive procedure that was being performed on people back in the 1930s to 1950s. The procedure would sever the nerve fibers that connect the frontal lobe of the brain to the thalamus. And the goal, at least of this procedure at the time, was to cure mental illnesses like OCD, depression, depressive illness, psychosis, schizophrenia, manic depression psychosis, chronic neurosis, psychopathic personality, the list kind of goes on. So pretty much it was being used as this one-size-fits-all procedure to treat people with mental illnesses. This, however, would obviously be discovered to be a very terrible way to treat mental illness and is now no longer practiced for the most part. Because something that I found out is that technically lobotomies were never banned in the US, although they're no longer practiced. There's also this pretty interesting fact about these two doctors that were performing lobotomies back in the 1940s. It stated that over a period of only 2 months in 1936, Freeman and Watts performed 20 lobotomies, and by 1942 they had lobotomized more than 200 patients and published the results. They reported that 63% of their patients had improved, while 24% saw no change, and 14% became worse. So overall, it was just a not a great way to treat people. Anyway, going back into the video, it shows a person receiving said lobotomy, and lobotomies were usually performed by inserting the tool inside of the person's nose to get to the brain to sever that part of the brain. The video then reverts back to Alice, insinuating that Alice is the person from the video, and now she lives a life post-lobotomy. And the side effects that a person can face from receiving a lobotomy is an incredibly long one, because again, you are tampering and tearing pieces from the brain. However, some of the most severe side effects that you could face after receiving a lobotomy are brain damage, dementia, seizures, personality changes, emotional numbness, confusion, changes in language abilities, chronic headaches, and of course, death. So not really a great lineup of side effects. Returning to the video, Alice enters a room of interesting characters consisting of a marionette, a doll head, a sheep doll, a miniature elephant, and the hare who led her here. Alice enjoys the company of her newfound friends and partakes in the festivities of the performance. However, seemingly out of nowhere, the entire group stops and just begins staring at Alice. Alice finds herself somewhere new, facing a new character who tells her, "I'm not falling into a void. Why do I have to take these pills? I'm not crazy." What follows is Alice coming face to face with the Cheshire Cat, resulting in this very odd segment which I'll let play out in its entirety. The final scene in the video shows Alice lying awake in bed, but then it's revealed where she really is. Foam panels surround the girl's bed. She isn't in Wonderland anymore, but rather a mental institution. So after this first episode, we find out that the main character has fictionalized this entire alternate world for her mind to wander inside of, and she's taken on the persona of the character from Alice in Wonderland, while the real Alice is living in the real world, presumably in the 1940s, as that's when lobotomies were pretty popular in the medical field. She's spending her days post-op fantasizing about a life of enchantment to escape the confines of her dark reality. It's honestly a pretty dark premise for a horror series, and even on top of that, the lobotomy was most likely not even a voluntary thing on Alice's end, but rather something that was forced onto her as she was checked into the mental institution. And when we get into the second installment in the series, we begin to learn a little bit more about Alice and how she ended up here. In this second video, it's called The Looking Glass, and it immediately starts off by giving us a description of who Alice is and why she was admitted into the institution. Alice Liddell, age 18 years old, condition schizophrenia. The patient also experiences bouts of violence and disassociation from reality. Lobotomy accepted. The lobotomy seems to have had positive results for Miss Lindell. Alice Lindell is fit to live with society. Her mental state improved after post-lobotomy treatment. A white rabbit came for her. Within the video, we can see that Alice has returned from her stay at the mental institution, now living a post-lobotomy life. There's also this live-action cat featured in the video, which is honestly pretty cute. I don't know, it just makes me happy. Following this, Alice bears witness to her reflection in the mirror, and it does something to her mind, because the next thing we see is Alice passed out on a chair. A bottle then manifests itself into existence on one of the tables, and it's labeled "Drink Me." Alice complies and re-enters the world of Wonderland. But when she does, a memory fills her head, one of the institution where she was tied onto a bed. And what's strange about this memory is that in the second frame, we can see Alice lying there with the restraints removed, but this time her face is completely gone, and there is blood all over the bed, and it seems to be coming from her head. But Alice snaps out of the memory and proceeds to investigate the room. Quote, "That thing is slowly eating you." Alice finds a hole in the wall which she ventures inside of, eventually leading her to the home of a pair of conjoined twins wearing paintings as masks. The twins simply stare at Alice with no real emotion behind the paintings. That is until they decide to put on this extremely bizarre show for their visitor. The conjoined twins are split in half by the opposing wires holding them up, and when Alice looks back at the real twins, the skin on their faces have been torn off. The next thing we see is a brain, one that I'm assuming is supposed to be representative of Alice's one, a nod to her lobotomy as the brain is split in two. The words on screen stating, "Mutilation is not the cure, it is hell." We're left with Alice once again, maneuvering this fictional world that is happening inside of her own head, as in reality, Alice is still passed out on the chair. Alice then encounters the character of Humpty Dumpty, who bestows a poem onto the wandering traveler. "Few are the warriors who are left standing in a battle. You cling to something intangible. Will you be able to create the wall? Only then you will be invincible. Destroy the demon, and you will find freedom. Beware of that which you will face." After delivering the poem, Humpty is no more, and Alice goes deeper down the rabbit hole. She eventually finds herself in a room facing a royal figure standing behind a hole in the wall. The figure then transforming into this wolf-like creature. All of this to say that the hallucinations are getting worse. We're then shown Alice when she was still in the institution, staring at herself in the mirror. From the mirror, she is gifted a blade. Alice went down into the darkest place of the mind, the basement of the subconscious. Inside, Alice finds herself still in bed. Alice slays the beast, its severed head on the ground, only to pick it up in victory. The series ending there with no true conclusion. And the only thing that I can kind of think of as for a true ending of this series is that when Alice saw the entity by her sleeping body's bed, it gave her the opportunity to end herself, thus in turn ending the nightmare she now finds herself in after the lobotomy. However, Alice denies the creature's advice and continues her journey, venturing into the depths of her own mind, while her body lays in bed, unable to wake up. But yeah, that pretty much does it for this one. Be sure to comment D's if you made it this far. And I do want to give a huge shout out to all of my beautiful channel members, as well as my ultimate tiers, Kareem Adriano and Alejandra from the Tower. If you want early access to videos and to support me, it's only $1.99. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Watch this video if you're extra awesome. See you later. Bye. Love ya.